started recording this session. Kindly maintain silence. Only if you have doubt, you must unmute yourself. Ensure that you are all muted. And currently in this meeting, we have 39 students. And let me download the attendance. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first I will take a quick revision, then we will see a YouTube video on joints, then we will move on to the movements of body. Okay, movements of body. So in the last lecture we are discussing about joints in our body. So I will do a quick revision on joints in our body. So can you see this PowerPoint? I made it full screen. Can you see this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the subject code is BMLS 2004 and it is Human Anatomy and Physiology. And now we are in Unit 2. So in the Unit 2 we have three topics or three systems. We have um, musculoskeletal system, respiratory system and cardiovascular system. So we started with muscular system. In the muscular system, we have the following topics. We have the classification of muscles, structure and function of skeletal muscle, then we have different types of joints and various movements of the body. So these are the four topics which are included in the unit 2 of musculoskeletal system. So in the last lecture we started with the joints. So I'm directly moving to the joints. So we know that joints is something where any two bones or two rigid bodies are connected. Such place is called as joint, and the study of joints is called as arthrology. So the meaning of joint means to connect. So here we have two types of classification. So one is functional classification. Depending upon their mobility, these joints are divided into three types: immobile joints, slightly movable joints and freely movable joints. And second one is structural classification. I didn't say an important word here. In some textbooks, rather than saying structural classification, they are saying a very straightforward point, which is classification depending upon the tissue type. What tissue does the joint made of? Is it a fibrous tissue? Is it a cartilaginous tissue? Or is it a synovial tissue? Synovial means here whether it is a hyaline cartilage made tissue. So depending upon that, these three joints are further divided into fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints and synovial joints. Himanshu, are you listening? Usually I won't ask questions. Himanshu, are you there in the class? See, no response. Okay. Anyway, so fibrous joints means okay, Himanshu. Okay, fibrous joints means these are the joints that are made up of fibrous tissue and they're immobile joints. Fibrous joints, we cannot move them. And we have three types of fibrous joints. We have sutures, syndesmosis and gomphosis. So sutures means, tell me students, where does the sutures present? Sutures are present in location?
Skull bone.
In the skull, correct. Now I will show you the sutures. Yes, very good. So these are the sutures, students. So in the skull, we have these plates: frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital. These plates, these skull bones. Okay, sorry. These skull bones are connected by certain sutures, and they are connected by this stitching like joints, and those joints are called as sutures. We have many sutures actually in the skull. We have coronal sutures, sagittal, lambdoidal, occipital, deltoid, squamous. So all these sutures uh, are present in the skull, which are immobile joints. Okay, fibrous immobile joints. Then second one is syndesmosis. The common name of this syndesmosis is there is a term which is called fibrous tissue. Okay, so this fibrous tissue is present in between the bones. Okay, in between the radius and ulna of the limbs of the hands and fibula and tibia of the leg. So both the hand and leg bones are interconnected by the syndesmosis joint. So this syndesmosis is a fibrous material which is present in between the radius and ulna and fibia and tibula bones of legs and the hands. Okay. Um, After this class, students, I will take one additional class on bones present in human body. I will take one class on bones and I will let you know all the names of the bones present in our body so that you will get some idea. Right now I think you are slightly confused between radius ulna and fibia tibula. Actually, fibia
Yes,
tibula
yes.
are the leg bones, whereas radius and ulna are bones of the hand. So both the bones are interconnected by this fibrous tissue, okay, which is syndesmosis. So this is the example of syndesmosis. And last and final is gomphosis. Can anyone say what is gomphosis? Where does the gomphosis present, students?
Tooth and jawbone.
Very good. Tooth and jaw. So in between the tooth and jaw, the gomphosis is present. Such type of joints are called as gomphosis. So that is all about the three types of fibrous joints: sutures, then syndesmosis and gomphosis. Then second one is cartilaginous joints. So cartilaginous joints are further two types: primary cartilaginous joint and secondary cartilaginous joint. Primary is also called as synchondrosis, whereas secondary is called as symphysis. So primary will be temporary in nature and it will be replaced by bone. So for some examples of primary cartilaginous joint is epiphysis and diaphysis of growing bones, okay, of long bone of a growing children, whereas secondary cartilaginous joints are the cartilaginous joints which will be present as a cartilaginous state for entire lifetime. They won't change to bones, okay. Permanently they will be in cartilaginous state. So such joints are called as secondary cartilaginous joints, okay. So these include symphysis pubis, which is the joint which is present in the hip bone, then mandibular-sternal joint, which is present in the sternum, and intervertebral joint, which is present in between the vertebral column. So this is all about the cartilaginous joints, both primary and secondary cartilaginous joints. Then third one is synovial joints. So coming to the synovial joints, they are the completely movable joints. They are highly or freely movable joints. They will exhibit a wide range of mobility. So they even shows almost 360-degree rotation. Almost 360. I didn't say 360. They can show almost 360-degree rotation movement by the synovial joints. So there are certain characteristic features for synovial joints. So all synovial joints are enclosed within a capsule. These synovial joints will have a synovial fluid. They are always layered by a layer of hyaline cartilage, and they have a layer which is called synovial membrane. So presence of these parts is something unique for the synovial joints. And obviously both the synovial joints are interconnected by ligaments and muscles. Okay, so many ligaments will be present in between the synovial joints. That is why knowing the structure of a typical synovial joint is very important. Now I will show you the structure of a typical synovial joint. So yeah, so we have many types of synovial joint that I will tell later. So the main purpose is synovial joints will show a wide range of mobility. Okay, so now this picture, every one of you must practice this picture, students. This is a typical structure of a synovial joint. This is a typical structure of a synovial joint. Let me check the time. Okay, 43. Okay, are you listening to me, students? Is it visible?
Yes,
Is the
sir.
diagram visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. Okay, fine. Yes. So here we can see two bones. Okay. So we have two bones, and at the end of the bone, as we say, it is layered by a articulating cartilage. That means hyaline cartilage. So hyaline cartilage present at both the ends of the bones. Then there is a space. Okay. So here it is enclosed by this sac. So this membrane is called synovial membrane. So these both the joints are enclosed by a synovial membrane. Inside this membrane, you can see synovial fluid. So synovial fluid is present inside this membrane. Now, outside this double synovial membrane, you will see a capsule. I think that's capsule. Okay, here it is. You can see a capsule. This capsule, this white colored layer. This white colored layer is a capsule called fibrous capsule. So presence of this fibrous capsule plays a very important role at keeping the synovial joint rigid. Okay. So fibrous capsule is present. I don't know whether I'm recording this session or not. Yeah, I'm recording. Okay. So fibrous capsule. So this is the outermost capsule. Okay. So it is completely enclosed by this fibrous capsule. And after this fibrous capsule, you will see certain ligaments. If we keep ligaments in this picture, you can't understand the picture properly. So usually in the textbooks, they won't show ligaments in the synovial joint. But of course, there will be ligaments. Ligaments will be present in the synovial joint. So they are supported by the ligaments and muscles. So this is all about the structure of synovial joint. You have bones. At the end of the bones, you have hyaline cartilage, and it is connected by 2 layers of synovial membrane. Inside this joint, you will see the synovial fluid. Then outside the membrane, you have the fibrous capsule. This is the typical structure of a synovial joint. Then coming to the types of synovial joints. So we have 7 types of synovial joints. We have plane joints, hinge joints, condylar joints, pivotal joints, ball and socket joints, then saddle joints. So these are the types of synovial joints. Okay. So we have plane joints, then we have hinge joints, pivotal joints, condylar joints, ellipsoidal joints, and we have saddle and ball and socket joints. So now let us discuss in detail about each and every joint. So before discussing about synovial joints, as I said, I will show you a video, okay, and YouTube video of synovial joints, a very interesting video. So let me stop sharing the screen. In the YouTube students, there is a channel called SciShow. So SciShow has a sister channel called Crash Course, SciShow Crash Course, where he kept many videos of this thing, very interesting videos. So I will show you just a second. First, let us see that joints video by that Hank. His name is Hank actually. So from my childhood onwards, I'm following the channel. Even though he speaks fastly, but the content will be really interesting in that channel. I show joints. Let me share my screen with you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this one. Joints, crash course joints, ANP, anatomy and physiology. Okay, can you see the screen, students? Can you see this YouTube screen?
I am
Yes,
so
yes.
glad you guys are 5 years old.
So-
If you were all in like kindergarten, the only way I could teach you about your skeletal system would
Okay, watch this video. It will be really interesting. Okay, so let us see this joints video. Then we can proceed. Okay. Okay, fine.
I am so glad that you guys are not 5 years old. If you were all in like kindergarten, the only way I could teach you about your skeletal system would be to sing you that stupid song. You know, the toe bone's connected to the foot bone, the foot bone's connected to the ankle bone's connected to the leg bone. Like apparently there's one leg bone. For the purposes of teaching college level anatomy and physiology, let's just say that that song is reductive, insufficient. For that song to be at all useful for remembering all 206 bones that make up your skeletal structure would lengths and then and something like the distance. In addition to places between two, talk about the physiology of your skeleton, you have to talk about joints. Joints are the meeting places between 2 or more bones, and even though it might not sound mathematically possible, you actually have more joints in your body than you have bones. In a lot of places, like your hands and feet, each individual bone is part of more than 1 or 2 joints. And then there's the matter of what all that bone, cartilage, connective tissue, and the joints that they form actually work together to do. And that is move. Body movements happen when muscles contract across joints, moving one bone toward another, and studying the different types of movements your body is capable of is not only pretty fun, it's also one of the best practical ways to understand your bones and joints. If you ask me, all that is infinitely more interesting than memorizing what goes where and pretending like a backbone is really an anatomical structure. So, aren't you glad you're a grown-up? Don't worry, it's not anyone you knew. It's plastic, and it's a little bit smaller than the average adult skeleton. But other than having you stand in front of a giant X-ray machine for 10 straight minutes, I can't think of a better way to walk you through the major anatomical structures of your skeleton. Now, if you managed to retain our introduction to human bones last week, you'll recall that anatomists typically divide the skeleton into 2 major parts. The cranium together to do some pretty 33. I'm not saying you gotta of pairs of ribs and points skeleton.
I'm skipping directly to
Referred to as
joints.
skeleton, and then
Just
by what they're made of and by what they fibrous tissue or your bone. Because form follows function, we can't really talk binds those bones together. Like, is it a fibrous on how much that joint between the bones that make up your cranium? For example, you have joints in your body that don't move at all. Are called synarthroses. But you also have joints that move only slightly. These are fully. It'll be especially useful to know the structure. Like those sutures. Fibrous joints connect bones. Speaking, you've got fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial joints. Fibrous joints connect bones with dense fibrous connective tissue and are mostly immovable, like those sutures between your skull bones. As you might guess, your cartilaginous joints unite bones using cartilage and are similar to their fibrous brethren in that they don't move very much and they lack a joint cavity. But the family of joints that make all the sports and the entire art of breakdancing and yoga possible are the freely movable synovial joints. Most joints in your body fall into this category. Although they do make use of cartilage and fibrous connective tissues like ligaments, they're different in that the bones they join are separated by a fluid-filled joint cavity. The cool thing about these cavities is that they contain a bit of viscous, egg white-like synovial fluid that acts like grease on a hinge. Without that lubricant, just running down the street could cause enough friction not only the sort of free movement your body can make from a subtle head that together allow pretty much any movement your body can make, from a subtle head nod to a vigorous jumping jack, all of which you will find in action at your typical dance party. Seriously though, dance parties are an excellent prom of the way the distal movements, radius and ulna, and the carpal bones of your wrist. But say after a while, I feel like these gliding movements just aren't enough to fully express myself. I have to enlist the more versatile between two bones across. People still my arm together. That movement is my fingers to bend and ball hinge joints. Similarly, my oval-shaped condylar knuckle joints allow my fingers to bend and ball up for a good fist pump. Now I'm getting super into it. I might like raise my arms up over my head, while the act of raising my arms away from my body is called abduction, while moving them back abduction. A combination stays relative. Expand it to an additional one. Shoulder joint, the more unstable and fragile it is, which is one reason why you see so many dislocated shoulders and hip replacements. And it's worth pointing out that some movements are just special and unique and weird and only occur in a few select joints, especially in your hands, feet, and jaw. For example, your ability to touch your thumb to your fingertips or give a thumbs up is thanks to opposition movement facilitated by your saddle joint, which makes your thumbs opposable. The pivot joint between your radius and ulna allow you to rotate your palm forward or anteriorly in a motion called supination, and turning it backward or posteriorly is called pronation. So that's what I like to think is the more grown-up approach to teaching you about your skeleton. It did not involve any singing, but yes, a little dancing. And arrangements of both the axis.
Yeah. So the best thing about Tar channel is the way he will show the animations. They are really simple and accurate. So yeah, you can watch that video later. So now you got some idea about the joints, and I will show you the boring point of view of joints, textbook material. Anyway, so that's it, students. Simply, it is because of joints we are dancing. So dancing can only be possible because of joints. Okay, so are you listening to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so whoever dancing, you should thank your bones. Okay. Anyway, so coming to the joints.
Yes,
Saina
yes.
yeah. So Saina will join. So first one is plane joints. So plane joints are the flat joints. They are present in the carpal bones. I will show you one example here. So this is an example of a plane joint which is present in the carpal bones of the wrist. So in the wrist we will see this plane joints, whereas hinge joint. So hinge joint means it is like the way we are opening doors. So such joints are called as hinge joints. Hinge joints are usually present in the elbow and in the ankle. So in the elbow and in the ankle, we will see this hinge joints. So this is a example of hinge joint. Then third one is a pivotal joint. In the pivotal joint, the bones will move in the 360 degree rotation. So now I will show you the pivotal joint. Just a second. I think laptop stopped. Okay. So this is pivotal joint. So pivotal joint means here you will see a 360 rotation. Pivotal joint best example will be your atlas and the radius of your skull bone. So in the skull bone, we can able to rotate our skull like this on the atlas. Okay, so that movement is possible because of pivotal joint. So this pivot joint is responsible for movement of our head. So this rotatory movement was given by this pivot joint. Then we have third one is condylar joint. So condylar joint means here you will have a concave bone and a convex bone. So both concave and convex bone will sit each other and they will rotate. So such type of movement is called as a condylar joint. Okay, condyle means it is a projection, bony projection at the end of a bone. Okay, it is a projection at the end of bone. Such projections are called as condyles, and these condyles, one condyle will have convex surface, whereas another condyle will have concave surface. And the joint in between them is called as condylar joint. Okay, so condylar joint is present in the wrist also, actually radius and ulna of the wrist. Okay, in the hand. Then you have the ellipsoidal joint. In case of ellipsoidal joint, you will have a rotatory, a circular bone which is fixed in a concave plate. So such type of joint is called as ellipsoidal joint. And this ellipsoidal joint is present in the wrist joint, metacarpelophalangeal joints, and in the occipital joints you will see this ellipsoidal joints. Then last and final, next is saddle joint, students. So saddle joints means this is a sternoclavicular joint. Saddle joint means it is how can I say saddle joint? Let me show you picture here. Where I kept it. Saddle joint. So here carpal and metacarpal thumb. This is a joint which is present in between the wrist and the carpal bone, students. So in between the wrist and the carpal, you will see a joint called saddle joint. Okay, so saddle joint will present in the carpal and metacarpal carpals of the hands and legs. And last and final is ball and socket joint. So ball and socket, I need not to say much. It is like a ball which is fixed in a socket. So such joints are called as ball and socket joints. The best example is your shoulders and your hip bones. So here in the shoulder and in the hip bones, you will see ball and socket joints. So these are the 7 types of joints which are present in the human body. So here they didn't mention the ellipsoidal joint. Ellipsoidal is just a modified form of a condylar joint. So in most of the textbooks, they are not classifying ellipsoidal as a separate joint because it is just a modified condylar joint. Okay, so these are the types of joints and these are the images. If possible, you must draw a simple image of each and every joint with example in the exam. I'm not stressing, but if possible, if you give a diagram of each and every joint, that looks fine. Okay, so these are the types of synovial joints we have in our body, and you just need to memorize, students. I hope you got some idea about types of synovial joints. Is there any doubt so far, students, in joints?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, I know the topic is slightly boring, but this is how it will go on, students. Okay, so this is all about the types of synovial joints. So next is movements of the body. So I'm moving to the next topic, students, after joints, which is the movements of the body. Let me skip all of this. So the same story again in an elaborated way. Okay, what is ball and socket joint? What is condylar joint? What is gliding joint? Gliding or saddle joint are same. Okay, then what is hinge joint? What is pivot joint? What is a saddle? Okay, saddle joint. Just a second. There is one joint. Gliding joint or plane joint are same, students. Gliding or plane. Okay. Then we have the saddle joint. Okay. So these are the types of joints and the brief description of each and every joint. This you can study by yourself. Then next is anatomical positions. Yes, without this, studying anatomy is useless. So knowing the anatomical positions, anatomical terms, and movements of the body is very important, students, and anatomical planes. So now let us discuss in detail about this anatomical terms and planes. only after knowing these terms and planes, then only we can understand the movements of the body. So now let us discuss about anatomical terms. Okay, so pay attention. Are you listening to me, students? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. Actually, I'm not well. I'm getting cough because of this cold water. Uh, anyway, so anatomical terms. So first one is anatomical positions. Very simple. Body is erect. You know, I was given a very straight bullet points here. So if you are standing still on a floor, okay, that is called as erected position. Okay. So body is erected always, and eyes look straight to the front. So eyes always look straight to the front, and upper limbs laid by side of trunk with palms and supine position. um, these are basics. Okay, so upper limbs will always be present on the side of the trunk. Okay, the center portion is called the trunk with palms in supine position. Palms in supine position means palms looking forward like this. So such position is called as supine position. Okay, so I will show you what is supine position and the prone position. Supine means laying like this is called supine position, students. Okay, and prone position means uh, turning backside is called prone position. So this is the difference between supine and prone position. Sometimes we need to place the patient on the structure either in supine position or in the prone position, depending upon the type of fracture the patient has. Okay, in some situations we must keep the patient in a prone position. In some situations we will keep the patient in a supine position. For example, if we are going for any abdominal surgery, then we will keep the patient in supine position. If we are going for any lumbar, any spinal cord surgery, then we will keep the patient in prone position. Is that clear for you? Do you got clarity about the supine and prone position? Supine means abdomen will be on the top.
Yes, sir.
Prone means abdomen will be on the bottom. Yeah, this is called supine and prone position. Then third one is anatomical planes. So what is this anatomical planes? What is the role of these planes? What is the importance of these planes? Now let us discuss in detail about this anatomical planes. So anatomical planes are also called as body planes, students, and these body planes are extensively used for the purpose of X-rays. If we want to take any X-ray of a human body, then we will take those X-rays in terms of planes. We will cut the body into different planes to study the structures. And now let us see what are the planes present in the body. Okay, so the first one is the center plane. Okay, if you cut your body, if you draw a line in the center line of your body, and that plane is called as medial line. The center line is called as the medial line. Okay, and this plane is called as median plane. Median plane will cut the body into two halves, two proper halves. Okay, median plane will cut the body into two halves. So this is called the median plane. Now rather than cutting in the center line, if you are cutting from the here from the transverse, okay, then this plane is called as transverse plane. So vertical is called as median plane, whereas horizontal is called as transverse plane. Okay, so transverse plane will be in the horizontal aspect, whereas median plane will be in the vertical aspect. So far I have told you two planes. One is median plane, which is vertical plane, that will divide the body into two proper halves, whereas horizontal plane is also called as transverse plane. Okay, then other than these two planes, we have third plane, which is called the frontal plane. So frontal section means how can I tell you the frontal section? um, okay, students, imagine I'm cutting the head from the middle like this. uh, I need a one thermocol. If it is there, it will be nice to show you. I think I don't have it. Just a second. Okay, I got it. Okay, students. See now, if I'm cutting this phone into two halves means, can you see this phone, students, everyone?
Yes, sir.
See, if I'm cutting this phone at the center, now I got two pieces of phone like this, and that line is called as median plane. Okay, if I'm cutting at the center of this phone and I'm getting two halves of this phone means that is called median plane. Then second one is if I'm cutting this phone in a horizontal way, here means then this is called as transverse plane. If I'm cutting here, this is called transverse plane. If I'm cutting here, then this is called the median plane. Then third type of plane is frontal plane. What is frontal plane means? See, let me open this. Now I will cut the body from the head at the center of the head like this. So now what I'm going to do is I will cut like this. So when I cut like this, the body will become two halves. Complete body will become two halves like this. And such a plane is called as frontal plane. This plane is called as frontal plane. Frontal plane will make the body into two parts, entire body into two parts. Okay. So such plane is called as frontal plane. So this is called frontal plane, and the center one is called as medial plane, and the midline is called as the it is called as the transverse plane. Then what planes we have here? I discussed about frontal, medial, transverse. Then we have the mid-sagittal plane. So what is this mid-sagittal plane? So for this I need to show you the other one. Yeah, I got it here. Sagittal and mid-sagittal. Sagittal and mid-sagittal. Okay, so students, so here I said that the center line, right? So here the center line we cut it into two parts. That is precisely is called as mid-sagittal plane. Okay, so mid-sagittal plane means from the center. Other than center, you can also cut from the side. For example, you can cut the mobile at the end also, or I can say here in this diagram, I can cut this person here also. From this shoulder to here, I can cut this person, and that line can be stated as sagittal plane. So sagittal plane can be from the top to down. Here, if I'm cutting here means that is called sagittal. If I'm cutting at the center, then it is called mid-sagittal plane. Okay, so mid-sagittal plane and sagittal plane, and this is a medial plane, and this is a transverse plane. And if you are cutting the body from the center like this, then that is called as frontal plane. Then you can also cut the body in like this as a cross, and that plane is called as oblique plane. If you are cutting the body in a cross like manner, then that is called oblique plane. So oblique plane means any cross plane, any cross section of any body organ can be stated as a oblique plane. So these are the planes present in the human body, students. So you have the mid plane, then we have the transverse plane, frontal plane, mid-sagittal and sagittal plane, then you have the oblique plane. So these are the planes of the bodies. Then you have the terms. Some other terms include anterior, posterior, superior, inferior. So what are those? So anterior means front. So front can be stated as a anterior and backside is called as posterior. The other name of anterior and posterior are ventral and dorsal. Ventral means it is the place where the mammary glands will present. It is the place where the stomach and breast will present. Such area is called as the ventral plane. Whereas the backside, where the spinal cord or your buttocks will present, that area is called as the dorsal. Okay, so anterior is also called as ventral, whereas posterior is called as the dorsal. And the top portion is called superior, and bottom is called as inferior. Superior, inferior. Okay, then we can also say other things like the head portion is called as cranial, whereas the bottom portion is called as the caudal. The towards the head is called cranial, whereas the towards the back, towards the legs is called as the caudal. Cauda means actually tail, towards the tail and towards the head. Head is called as cranial, whereas the towards the bottom is called as the caudal. Then if we take only one portion, for example, if you take only the bottom portion, in the bottom portion also, the topmost portion is called proximal, whereas the bottom part is called as the distal. Proximal means towards always the top, whereas distal means always down. So proximal, distal. For example, if I take only one organ, if I take only my hand, then the proximal part will be the wrist, whereas the distal part will be my fingers. Okay, so such a way we need to memorize. So this is all about the terms in the human body. Then we have the medial. If we take a midline, whatever organs going towards the midline are called medial, and what are the organs going away from the midline are called as lateral. Towards the midline are called medial, away from the midline is called as the lateral. These are the terms. Okay, so anterior, posterior, superior, inferior, cranial, caudal, proximal, distal. That's it. These are the terms. Actually, for me, these are very, very fundamental basics. I'm not getting much interest. You got some idea, right? The terms of human body. Can I ask questions in that terms? Yeah. So, front of the body is called as
Anterior.
anterior. Other name of anterior? Other name of anterior?
Ventral. Ventral.
Ventral. Very good. Back side of the body is called as?
Posterior or dorsal.
Very good. Towards the limbs is called as? Towards the limbs is called as? Towards the limbs. Towards the legs.
Distal.
Distal. We can say distal, or is there any other word? Distal, or we can also say?
Inferior.
Tail. Inferior. Okay, distal, inferior. Other word? Towards the legs. Caudal. Okay. Yes. Caudal, inferior, or distal are same words. Very good. Then towards the top are called as?
Superior.
Superior. Very good. Cranial. We can say cranial, or we can also say
Proximal.
proximal. Very good. Very good. Proximal. Very good. Then if I'm cutting my body in a horizontal way from here, then what plane is it?
Mid-sagittal.
Transverse plane. Transverse plane. If I'm cutting my body into two halves from the midline, then that plane is called median plane. Very good. Then if I'm cutting my body in from parallel to the midline from here, then that line is called as sagittal plane. Okay, sagittal plane. Parallel to the midline from here. If I'm cutting like this from my head, from the center of my body, from here, if I'm cutting means that line is called as I don't know how, if I'm cutting from here, okay, from my head like this until bottom. If it's making the body into two halves like this, that line is called as frontal line. Correct, frontal. Okay, this is frontal. So then if I'm cutting my body crossly like this means, then that plane is called as crossly cutting. Frontal line. I'm telling cross cutting of the body organs is oblique plane. Okay, so actually these planes are extensively used in CT scan and in X-rays, in all radiological techniques. Okay, in all body scanning techniques, we will use the planes actually. So sometimes we will take the lung picture in the frontal plane, and we will also take the lung picture in the transverse plane. Transverse plane will give the detail of the internal structure of the lungs, whereas the frontal plane will give transverse plane will give the internal structure of the lungs, whereas the frontal plane will give the anatomical morphology of the lungs. or simply we are taking a picture of lungs in this way, and also we are taking picture of the lungs in the bottom portion by transverse plane. So these planes are extensively used. These words are used in X-ray purposes. Okay. So, and that must be studied in anatomy only. So this is all about the planes of the human body, and this is all about the terms used in the human body. So cranial means towards the head, caudal means towards the tail, dorsal means towards the back, ventral means towards the belly, lateral means away from the median, medial means towards the median, inferior means below the feet, superior means above the feet, posterior means towards the back, whereas anterior means towards the front. So these are the some common terms which are used in the gross anatomy. And the last and final is movements, the terms used in body movement, students. Terms used in body movements. So this is another important topic which you need to study, and slightly depth actually. So first one is flexion. So what is the meaning of this flexion? So flexion means to pull. Okay, bending parts. How can I tell in a simpler way? If my hand is there means if I'm moving my hand towards my body means that is called flexion. If I'm moving my hand away from my body means that is called extension. Towards the body movement is called flexion. Away from the body movement is called as extension. Okay. So towards the movement towards the body is called flexion, students. Whereas movement away from the body is called as extension. Okay. Then abduction, adduction and abduction. How can I tell you this without? Okay, let us do one thing. Let us see an animation in the YouTube of body movements directly. There is no proper animation.
Then.
Flexion. They are not giving.
Introduction. Come, Rahul, let's play a game. Which game we are going to play? We are going to play a game in which we will look at each other without blinking our eyes. Now, but I don't know, Ruchi. Okay, Rahul. So before playing this game, let me tell you some interesting things about body movement. Children, in this lesson, we will learn about body movement that has the ability to contract, reducing movement in or maintaining the position of parts of the body are known as muscles.
Okay, students,
The move
I will do one thing. For today, I'm ending this session. tomorrow I will come up with a proper animation and I will teach you the body movements. Okay. So for today you just revise whatever I said, and tomorrow I will show you a nice animation of body movements. Okay. So thank you very much, students. You can leave.
Thank you, sir.
I will keep this in the YouTube. You can go through
Thank you,
revision.
sir.
So thank you very much. You can leave. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.